Welcome. This is Gary Salton, Chief of R&D and creator of IOPT Technology. This brief video will help orient you to the IOPT Individual Analysis Report. There is much more to IOPT than is covered in this report. However, even at this orientational level, the technology can be valuable to you. This report is different than others you may have had in the past. It does not focus on who you are. IOPT is only concerned with your information processing strategy. In fact, the name IOPT is an acronym. It stands for Input, Output, Processing, Template. Many of your behaviors and preferences follow directly from your information processing choice. For example, if you are detail sensitive, you are likely to value precision. But this will slow you down. Detail takes time to collect and process. There's no choice about this result. Once you choose a detail-oriented strategy, the speed of chemical reactions between the neurons in your brain sets the maximum speed of processing. The amount of information you demand sets the total time needed. You will always be slower than a person of equal ability who chooses to ignore detail. This result is not a speculation about how you feel about anything. The outcome is certain and is a result of the information processing choice you have made. On the other side, you might focus only on the central elements of a situation. You will probably be fast, but less than precise. It does not matter how you feel about it. You will not have the data that precision demands. This prediction does not depend on your psychology. It only relies on simple logic. Again, the result is certain. This is the kind of reasoning IOPT uses to estimate your probable preferences. It is all based on things that follow from your information processing elections, the choices you make to navigate your life. IOPT research has demonstrated that there are only 4 basic information processing strategies. We call them strategic styles. However, they can be mixed and matched in a host of different ways. Your choice of an information processing strategy is the right one for you. Other people lead different lives and face different situations. For them, other strategies are optimal. Organizations can face the entire range of different situations. That means they can and do use people employing all strategic styles. They look to their leaders to put together the right mix of specific people to address a particular problem that the organization confronts. But before you can do that by applying this kind of knowledge to others, you have to first know yourself. That is the purpose of this report. We will now look at your report one page at a time. Page 1 is orientational. It identifies the 2 primary strategic styles that you tend to rely on to navigate your life. You have access to all of the other strategic styles. In fact, the strength of some may be quite close to these dominant tendencies. However, the qualities associated with these styles are the ones you are likely to see most often displayed in your behavior. You will see these qualities in yourself, and others are likely to see them in you. Page 2 identifies some of the postures you are likely to hold most frequently. These are the ones associated with your primary or dominant strategic style. There are many more characteristics, but these will give you a sense of the kinds of attributes your primary style drives. Other people who use different strategies will have different preferences in these categories. Page 3 shows the tendencies based on your secondary style. Your primary strategy will not apply to every situation that you face. When it doesn't, you are likely to use your secondary approach. Since your secondary approach uses a different strategy, it generates a different set of preferences. You may find that some of these tendencies differ from those of your primary approach. The reason is that when you are using your secondary style, you are sensitive to different things. For example, in some situations you might welcome close supervision. In others, you may dislike it. There is no reason that you have to be consistent across different situations. Page 4 is a histogram, or bar chart, of your strategic style strengths. It shows how strongly you are committed to a strategic style or styles. The more you are committed to a particular style, the more likely you are to display the characteristics associated with it. If your style scores are close, there still should be a ring of truth in this report, but you may disagree with particular points. This is because these close alternative styles are generating a preference mix of their own, just like the difference between your primary and secondary style characteristics. At any particular time, you can be sensitized to one or another of the strategic styles that you are using. The computer that generated the report does not know of your current situation. It can only work on probabilities. The closer your styles are to each other, the less certain are these probabilities. Style strengths that are close can be measured and their effects can be predicted. However, this is beyond the scope of this orientational report. Page 5 talks about how you like to learn. If you can influence how new knowledge is to be presented to you, this is the direction you should probably take. You will learn more with less effort. Knowing your preferences may help you in selecting learning situations. They can also help in adjusting to others that you cannot change. Your learning preferences are worth knowing about. The bottom of page 5 alerts you to the probable character of interactions you will have with people using other styles. The take-home from this is that each type of interaction carries some exposures and opportunities. If you are alert to them, you can act to minimize your exposures and maximize your opportunities. This section is worth thinking about. The top of page 6 gives a brief statement of the kind of organization that you would most prefer. The middle of the page outlines the likely strengths you bring to an organization. Other people will bring other strengths. The bottom of page 6 sketches the interaction you are likely to have with people using different strategic styles. The basic idea of this bottom section is that if you can recognize your strengths and those of others, you may be able to combine them in a way that benefits everybody. The more you can do this, the better off everyone will be, including yourself. Page 7 talks about communications. People using different information processing styles will want and need different kinds of input. If you can get others to give you the kind of input you need, you will be more effective. If you can give others the kind of input they need, they will be more effective. If everyone does this for everyone else, the whole organization gets better. It's a topic worthy of your attention. Page 8 gives you another way of looking at your information processing preferences. It arranges your 4 strategic style strengths into a profile. If you are using this in a group setting, you can make a transparency and overlay your profile with others. You will instantly see how similar or different you are from another person. Both conditions, similarity and difference, are good. You just have to approach them in different ways. There is much more that can be done with a profile. However, I hope that this orientation is enough to give you positive value. It is intended to give you a sense of what you might accomplish by leveraging your capabilities and those of the other people with whom you work. Thank you for viewing this video. If you want more information on IOP, you can go to our websites at www.iop.com or www.oeinstitute.org. Both sites have much more information on how IOP can be used to improve the functioning of both individuals and groups. Thank you again for using IOPT.